this video, we will talk about observer pattern. Okay. Now let's start with an example. Now you are interested in one of the products, like online you are shopping for a product, okay, or you are shopping for an ebook on the online website. You go to Amazon website or any website and see, and what you will see, you can see that product is out of stock. Okay, now you're seriously interested in the product, and what you like, since you want to buy that product, what you usually do, you go to the website, check for the product. If it is not there, then again log into the website after some time, or like maybe after some time, or every day you log into the website and see whether the product is available or not. If it is available, then you place the order. Or you can consider another scenario where you have an offline store in your home, like in your place. Now you want a product, or maybe you're interested in a kind of fruits or something, and then you go to that store and you ask for that product to the store guy. Then he says that it's not available, it might arrive tomorrow. Then what you do, you go to the store again tomorrow and it's not available. Then again you go back home, again you go back to the store. You do that as long as the product is available in the store, or as long as the book is available on the website. You log into the website continuously and you check for the product availability so that you can place an order, right? So in these cases, you are actually interested in the products or some kind of act, like some state. Okay, you are interested in. Since you are interested, you go to the store or the website continuously and check this. But it's a hectic process, right? Because every time you can't go and check. What if someone develops a mechanism that, let's say you go to the website and search for a book and it's not available. What if there is an option, notify me kind of option on the website, so that as long as the product is back online, you get an email or you get an SMS, so that you log into the website and place an order. It's so simple, right? Instead of you going to the website every time and check for the product availability, why can't the website pushes an email or an SMS to you, so that you go and log into the website and place an order when it's available, instead of checking it again and again. And the same is applicable for the store case scenario as well. So when you reach the store for the first time and you are interested in the product, you can tell the store guy that I'm interested in this product. Okay, you send me a notification, or you give me a call or a message or an email as soon as the product arrives at your store. Okay, so that I need not travel every day to your store just to check the availability. What if there is a mechanism like that? Okay, all these scenarios will be solved, right? So that is called observer pattern. Using observer pattern, what it does is, if a person or if some object is interested in the state of something, then the state itself will send the notification to the observer. So when I say here subject, you are interested in the book, right? So book is the state, and you are interested in some of the product of store, or the product is the state. Whenever product arrives the store, so product state is changed. So the store can trigger a notification to the subject or whoever is interested. Like me, I'm logging to the website to buy the book, and some other person is going to the store. If they trigger the notification, it is so simple, and all these round trips traveling to the store or logging to the website, it's avoided, right? So observer pattern comes into picture to solve these kind of problems, and there are plenty of examples in real world related to the observer pattern. Now I'm making a YouTube video, you're watching my video, right? So when you subscribe to my channel, then what you do, you get a notification that I have uploaded a video, okay, new video. And if you don't subscribe to my channel, what happens? Like, if you're really interested in my videos, what happens? You log in, like you check my channel and see whether I had posted a new video or not. So these kind of things, even if you subscribe it, you get a notification. So this is also a kind of an observer pattern. Okay, so there are lots of things like that now, which solves the observer pattern. Now I'll explain the class diagram and the definition of the observer pattern with the help of a code. Okay, and let us consider a scenario. Okay, there is a weather station. Okay, Now this weather station, it captures the temperature, humidity, pressure, everything on, like now, even if you can see, right, there are so many weather station which tells you that, okay, it might rain in your place, or the cyclone is traveling from east to west direction. So all these predictions are happening based on the temperature, humidity, pressure, right? So what, let us consider a weather station is there, and it tracks the weather, okay. Well, like there are three parameters that it tracks: temperature, humidity, pressure, okay. Every time it tracks the temperature, weather, and the humidity. And what it wants to do is, it wants to display these things on the display elements. So let us consider you have a weather station, and during some physical device, weather station is already tracking the temperature. Now people or the officers who are working in the weather station, they want to view it directly. They can't go to that physical device and check every time, right? So they work in their cubicles, and if there is a kind of display in their office, they obviously can see the like updated the temperature, humidity, right? Now you can think about a patient also, a patient who got admitted. You can see the devices connected to the patient, right? So that you can watch the heartbeat, or you can watch the glucose level, sugar levels. You have the devices in the hospital. Like what happens is, a physical device or some kind of device, it is attached to the patient's body, and it checks the sugar levels, glucose levels, heartbeat, BP, everything, and it displays on the multiple devices. So here the data is same. Like whenever there is a spike, or there is a change in the patient's glucose levels or something, you see a different, like you see that information on the displays, like which are present adjacent to the patient, right? So this is also a kind of observer pattern. So I'll start with an example where you have a weather station, and whenever a weather data changes, the display elements should get updated, because all the, like how you can see the display elements adjacent to the patients, you can have those kind of display elements even in the weather station as well, okay. So you're using observer pattern to solve that problem. So how you can do it, like if there is no, like if there is no observer pattern, how you can solve this problem? What you can do is, whenever weather data changes, okay, now let us say you have three kind of displays, okay. Now on one display, people want to see the average temperature. On another display, they want to see only just the current temperature. On the other display, maybe they want to see the maximum temperature in a day. So there are three kinds of displays that are designed, but the data to all the displays are same, okay. Now say what, like ideally, if you don't have the observer pattern, what you do is, you have a class. Whenever a weather data changes, you call those displays and you send them, this is the data, okay. But what is the problem with that approach? So if you go with that approach, what if there is another display that comes, okay. Now like they want to show some other data on some other display, like they want to show maybe another pressure or some kind of thing on other display. Or if you consider the store scenario, maybe a person is interested in the product, okay. Now if you don't use the observer pattern, what you do is, okay, you might write a code, okay. This product, whenever its state changes, means whenever it is available, you send an email to this person, okay. If you don't use observer pattern, you do this. But what is the problem with that? Now is it constant that only that particular person is interested in the data? No, right? Maybe other people also can come and say that I also want to be notified when your product has arrived at the store. Or when you log into the website, other people also they are interested in buying the book, so they also might want to get notification to their email, okay. They might also click notify me button on the website. So like the people who are interested in your product or book or the weather data or the patient's data, they are not constant, okay. They are varying. People might come, like there are more people that might come and say that I am interested in your data, or there might be the existing people who says that I don't want, I am not interested in this product anymore. So don't send me any kind of emails. So these things happen. People who joins, who are interested in the state of your product or book can vary, and the people can join and they can leave also. So there are these variations, and if you just write a code and say that whenever the state changes, okay, you send mail to this person, and if some another person joins, you have to modify your code and add their email ID as well to send the code, right? So you're modifying the existing code, which is not appropriate, because your class should never be modified, right? Your class should be closed. You should not be closed for the modifications, right? So you should not do that. If you do that, what they, like, even if a person says that I'm not interested, then you have to remove that email ID. Okay, so you are modifying your existing code if you don't use the observer pattern. That's why observer pattern, what it says is, it gives you a class diagram using which you can have a loosely coupled designs between the subject and the observer, and without disturbing the observer and without disturbing the subject. Okay, whenever I say subject here, a subject is the thing which you are interested, like for which you want to get the notifications, like you want to get notifications for the book, you want to get notifications for the store. And when I talk about the weather data, you want to get notifications about the weather data, like you have multiple display elements in the weather stations. And now whenever weather data changes, your display elements data also changes, right? So here you might add another new display element also. Okay, so here weather data is the subject, and when I talk about a patient in a hospital, his data, the glucose level, heartbeat, blood pressure is the subject here, and the display elements that are attached, which displays his heart rate, or the observers. Okay, so let us see the class diagram using which you can solve this problem. Okay, so this is the, like, if you just go with a plain, like if you don't use this observer pattern and just solve the problem, you might end up modifying your code again and again, because observers keep coming and observers keep leaving. Okay, that's why. So this is the class diagram of the observer pattern. So what it says is, I said the subject, right? So here let us talk about this concrete subject. So what this concrete subject says is, you add methods. Okay, you add methods for registering the and the removing the observers, because observers keep coming and keep going, right? Whenever an observer comes and whenever observer says I'm interested in your data, you ask them, okay, I like, you first register yourself. If you are registered, then what I'll do is, whenever you are registered, you will be in my observer list, so that whenever something happens or some change happens to my state, I will send you a notification. So the first thing that observer should be doing is, they should come and invoke this register observer method. Okay, so first the subject, what you have to do is, since you want to send notifications to the observer, add methods. Okay, register observer, because you have to add the observers and you have to remove the observers. Okay, whenever you add it, whenever after adding the observer, whenever something happens, whenever state change happens of this to the subject, you can send a notification, and observer is removed from your list. Okay, from your observers list. After that, if any state change happens, you need not notify your observer. So for that, you provide two methods here. Okay, register observer and the remove observer. Okay, now what happens is, now let's say here these two methods are there to register and the remove the observers. So a person is registered. Now later on, a state change happens here. Like if you talk about the book, what happens is, book has come online, so this state gets updated. Okay, now this has become online. What it does is, it has to invoke this notify observers of method. What this notify observers of method do is, so whenever state changes, it invokes this notify observers method. What notify observers do now is, since it is already maintaining a list of observers, right? What it does is, it will call each observer and it will send an email or the data, whatever a observer is interested in. So first thing is, add the observer to your list. And the second thing is, whenever a state changes, you invoke notify observers of method, and then this notify observers, it will check the list of observers that are present on the subject, and then it will trigger an email or any kind of update to them. Now what happens is, there are multiple observers, right? They can come and say, okay, now you send me an email, you send me an SMS, or you send me another update kind of thing, right? Now since now let's say it has invoked notify observers or of notify observers of method, then what it does is, let's say there are some 10 observers, okay, like you have 10 observers. What it does is, it goes to the first observer, and this observer says, okay, you invoke me this method on me, then I'll get notified. And the second observer might say, you invoke this method on me, some other method. Okay, like if there is no uniform method that should be invoked on the observers, then you can't do this. You can't do this logic, because now in future new observer can come and say, you invoke me another method. Now you can't keep invoking the methods that are specified by the observers, right? Because you don't know, in future they might come and ask you invoke another method. So to avoid that problem, what it does is, like you observers, if you are really interested in the state of mind, okay, I'm the subject and you are the observer. If you are really interested in knowing the state of mind, what you do is, you go and implement this observer interface, okay, and then I will invoke update of method on you, okay. Like you go and invoke this observer interface. In the observer interface, I have a method update of. You go and implement this update of method, and whatever you want, okay, like if you want some notification, SMS notification, whatever you want, you go and do it. What I'll do is, I'll tell that I have my state is changed and this is my current state. I'll give you that notification. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. Like there are multiple display elements for the weather station, right? What it says is, whenever weather data changes, I will tell you. Like there are multiple display elements. You as a display element, what I'll do is, I'll tell you that this state has changed. Now this is my current temperature. It's your duty to update your display element. I'll just say my state has changed and this is my state. And it's up to you to update your interfaces or whatever you want, okay? So because of this, what happens is, it is very simple for the subject to just invoke a single method on the update of, so that what it can consider is, it can treat all observers uniformly, okay. So what if you want to implement observer pattern, what you have to do is, whoever is the observer, what they have to do is, they have to come and implement this observer interface, and they have to implement this update of method. So it can, like observer might have other methods, other logics as well. So it won't disturb that. You, like if you want other methods, or if you are interested in the other subject state also, you can go and do it. I don't disturb it. Subject says that I am not interested in all of those. What I want is, you just implement this update of method, so that it will be easy for me. So whenever I call this notify observers, what I can do is, I can traverse through all my observers and I can just invoke my update of method. So while invoking update of method, I can send my state, so that it would be easy for me and I need not know much information about you, okay. So if you see here, the simple thing what you have to do is, whoever, like let's say I am the person, right? What I have to do is, whoever is the observer like me, I just have to implement this observer interface and then implement this update of method. Other methods you can still have it. You need not, we are not restricting that you should have only update of method. So subject, like whenever a subject wants to notify its observers, what they have to do is, they have to do these three methods: register observer and remove observer and then notify observers. Now a observer came and they are interested in the state and then they got registered, okay. Now after some time they feel that, okay, this is like it is not of much information, it's not providing much information and it's not of use to me. Observer might think that, so they don't want to receive these notifications. What they can do is, they can simply invoke this remove observer of. When they invoke this remove observer of method, what happens is, this particular concrete observer is removed from the observer list of this subject, and later on it will not get any notifications. And even if you see here, this is the subject is implementing the subject interface. These are all concrete subjects and the concrete observers. So for observer you have an interface, and likewise you have an interface for the subject as well. So because why we have done this way is, so if you do this way, there are other subjects. There can be, like, let's say this observer is interested in multiple subjects. Now it is not just interested in the weather data. Maybe it is interested in some other data as well. What it can simply do is, it can go and register on this subject as well. So it would be easy for the observers as well. Now, let's say you don't implement this interface subject, okay? What happens now? This observer is interested in some other data as well, so it has to go and see how I have to register myself as an observer for the data. And if I'm not interested, how I should remove myself from that list. So it has to do all that work, okay? But instead of putting specific individual implementations for each subject, if you have a common implementation like this, where like if there are multiple subjects and each subject follows the standard process, okay, where it can provide these three methods to the observers. So what happens is, if let's say if this observer is interested in some other data as well, what it can do is, whatever it has done for this subject, it can do the same thing for this subject as well. So it would be easy for the observers as well to get the data. Like what we have done, we have created a common interface for observer, because whenever it needs to notify it, it should have a common method. Else, if each observer has its own method, then it's difficult for the subject to call that method, right? Instead, if it has a common method, it can simply invoke that common method. That's why we had implemented a common interface for the observer. So you should think about observers as well, right? If they are interested in the data of multiple subjects, they also should be able to do that easily. That's why we have implemented a common interface for the subject, and then each subject can implement these methods, okay? Yeah, this is the class diagram of the observer pattern. Now with this design, if you see, these are loosely coupled, okay? Subject along with this method, it can have its own specific logic, okay? And it can, like if it wants to add some other logic, it can do it. It doesn't affect the observers. Even observers, if they have some other logic, they can put observer specific methods. It won't disturb the subjects, okay? Because of this loosely coupled implementation, each subject and each observer can do their own implementation, own changes without disturbing others, okay? Now let me explain this with a simple code, okay? Now if you see, I was explaining you about the weather data, right? So what happens is, first I created an interface for the subject. So you can see it here, right? There should be an interface for the subject, and in which you declare these methods as abstract, okay? Now here what happened is, I created a subject, okay, and what I have done is, I have added three methods: register observer method, remove observer method, and notify observers method. Now there is this weather data. This is the subject. What it does is, it implemented this subject. So when it implemented this subject, by like you have to implement these three methods: register observer, remove observer, and notify observers off. So you have this register observer, remove observer, and notify observers off, okay? Now how it maintains, this is the subject, right? As I said, it will have the list of observers. So you can see this variable, okay? Private list of observers. You can see this variable, list of observers, okay? Now whenever observer, okay, whenever his observer is interested, what they have to do is, I told that they have to call this register observer, right? What happens in this method is, there is already a list of observers, okay? It will add observer to this particular list, okay? Now when the observer is not interested in the data, I said you should call remove observer of method. So what it does is, it will remove observer from this list, okay? Now it's done, right? Now how it will notify the observers? If you see here, whenever a measurement like this, like you need not think how this method gets invoked, okay? But whenever there is a change in the measurements, since we are talking about the weather data, whenever a temperature, humidity or pressure changes, what happens is this set measurements of method gets invoked, okay? Now what it does is it will update its values. Like here you have the data, right? Temperature, humidity and the pressure. What it does is it will update with the new values and then it will invoke this measurements changed of method, okay? What this measurements changed of method says is, okay, the state has changed for these values. Now you should notify the observers, because weather data has changed and the display should be updated, right? So that's why what it does is it will call the notify observers of method. Now you got right how notify observers of method gets invoked, because whenever there is a change in data, it will automatically invoke this notify observers. Now how it notifies is it will traverse through the list. Here you have the list of observers, right? So it will traverse through the list and then it will call the update method of the observer, okay? This is how it will, an observer can register on the subject and can remove from the subject information, and it can notify the observers as well. Now let us see the observer interface. Now if you see the observer interface, it just has a simple method and it is interested in the data of temperature, humidity and the pressure, okay? Now if you go to the concrete observers, now if you see here, we have talked about the subject interface and you have talked about the concrete subject as well. So concrete subject here is nothing but the weather data, and we have already spoken about observer interface as well, observer interface. Now let's see about the concrete observer. So here you have three kinds of displays, okay? Current conditions display, forecast display and the statistics display, because these display elements needs different data. Now this is the observer, okay? If you see here, it is implementing the observer, right? It is implementing the observer. When it implements the observer, what it has to do? It has to implement the right logic for this update of method. So if you see, it has written logic for update of method, okay? Now temperature, humidity, pressure are there, right? Now what it does is it will update the temperature and the humidity, okay? Now what it does is it will call the display of method. It is specific to the display logic, okay? And what it display does is it will update the display element with the temperature and the new temperature and the humidity. If you see here, this particular method constructor of the observer, on like while creating the object itself, what it passes, it passes the subject data, subject, right? So here itself it is calling register observer, okay? So this is how during the creation of the observer itself it gets registered. If you don't want to register, you can, like if you want to unregister, what it can do is it can write another method, remove from observer, like remove from observer list, okay? You can write this method, and what it can do is, you have already weather data, right? Weather data dot remove observer of. So you can do this as well, okay? Remove observer of this, because this, you are removing this. So this is how an observer can, like during the object creation itself, it is getting registered itself as an observer and then it's getting removed from the observer. So likewise, you have other display elements also. So here if you see the forecast display also, it's getting registered as an observer, okay? And statistic display also, it's getting registered as an observer. So you can compare the same example for the store and the book example as well. Let's say you consider weather data. Instead of weather data, let's say you have a book, okay? And you have this flow, maybe Boolean is available. Whenever a book has come online, this set measurements or set measurement method gets invoked and it will notify the observers, okay? And in the observer method, like let's say this is a one user and this is another user, this is another user, okay? What they do is, as soon as the update of method gets invoked, they might trigger an email to this particular users. They might have user ID here, email ID, they will trigger an email here. So like you can compare the same for store example, for patients example, and for the book example, anything. Now there are two approaches in the observer pattern. One is pull method and another is the push method. Pull method is like You notify the observers, okay? You notify that my state has changed. What observer says is, okay, you don't send me the update. I'll only come and collect your data. That is pull method, because observers are pulling the data. And there is a push method. Push method is like whenever state changes happens to my data, I'll only trigger a notification that this is changed. But there are few drawbacks in each method, okay? So now let us consider a push method. Now here if you see, there are three displays here, right? Current conditions display, forecast and the statistics display. So if you see the forecast and the statistics, they are just interested in the temperature and humidity. They are not interested in the pressure, okay? Now current conditions display might be interested in the pressure, forecast display is interested only in the humidity, and the statistic display might be like they're interested only in one of the data. Like whenever the data changes on the subject, all the observers are not interested in the complete data. They are interested only in the partial data, right? If you push the complete data, then you are unnecessarily pushing the complete data to the observers, which they are not interested in. Maybe they are interested in one attribute, but you are sending three attributes. If you see here in this observer pattern, you have sent temperature, humidity, pressure, okay? Whenever your subject is updating, it is updating with all three values, but actually the displays might be interested only in one of the values, okay? Now because of the push mechanism, what happens is you're sending unnecessary data also to the observers, right? Now let us consider, okay, I use the push mechanism, but I not send entire data to the observers. Then what you will do? You don't know, right? Now currently this observer might be interested in the temperature, and in future you don't know that observer which is coming in might be interested in which attribute. You don't know, right? So you can't either you send complete data or you don't send the data. That is what happening in the push mechanism. But if you consider the pull mechanism, you can avoid this. Observers can come to the subject and says, okay, you notify me, because I don't know when your data gets changed, okay? You notify me anyway, but you don't send me the data. I'll only come to you and then I'll only fetch the data, okay? Now how you can change this code to, like, whatever you have done is we have done till now is the push mechanism. How we can change it to pull mechanism? So instead of sending the complete data, what you will do is you can just click on update, okay? Now even if you see, you don't need this, okay? In current conditions display, you don't need this. Now what you have to do, what being an observer have to do is, it's an additional responsibility that is put an observer, because the subject just notifies, okay, I changed my subject, now you come to me and you pull the data. Now what it has to do is, you already have this weather data object, because you need it to register it, right? Now the subject should provide some public methods to get the data. Now weather data dot, now you don't have these public methods for getting the temperature, humidity, right? So if you want to change it to pull mechanism, what you have to do is you have to add a public getter methods, okay? Public or maybe float get temperature of. So if this provides you these methods, this dot temperature, what you can do is directly you can do get temperature of. So likewise, like if the forecast display is interested only in the humidity, what it can do is it can call this particular object, subject object, and then it will just call get temperature is there, right? It can call get humidity, okay, get humidity. So whatever these observers are interested, they will invoke only those methods. But the drawback here is, first subject should provide the public getter method so that observers can pull the data. That is one drawback. And another drawback is, observers should know about the changes that are getting added to the subject as well. Now initially let us consider temperature, humidity and pressure are there in the weather data. In future, maybe like rainfall, some parameter related to rainfall might be added in the weather data. So observers should know what is the method it should invoke for the rainfall, okay? Observers should have more knowledge about the weather data object. So this is the drawback. Like it depends on your use case, okay? If you want to go for push mechanism or pull mechanism, Push mechanism is like where the subject sends complete data to the observers and observers should use only the required data. Whereas pull mechanism is like subject just notifies the observers, but it will not send the complete data. Observers will come to the subject and ask for the required data. Okay. So we are done with the class diagram. Okay. Like where you have a subject and the observer interfaces, and each subject implements the subject interface and each observer implements the observer interface. Observer invokes register observer of method and remove observer of method to register themselves or to unregister themselves. Whereas the subject, it will invoke notify observers of method, which in turn invokes this update of method to notify the observers. Okay, this is the simple class diagram of this. Now let us go to the definition. So if you see, now we understood, right, how the observer pattern works. Now let us let us learn the definition here. So the observer pattern defines a one-to-many dependency between objects, so that when one object changes state, all of its dependents are notified and updated automatically. Here you saw, right, there is one subject and you have multiple observers. Observers are many, like you can have plenty of observers, like 1 to 100 observers you have. Okay, so here it says observer pattern defines a one-to-many dependency between objects. Subject is one and observers are many. Okay, dependency. So that when one object changes state, here when one object changes state, here means when subject changes state, all of its dependents are notified and updated automatically. So all of its dependencies, all of the observers are updated or notified and updated automatically. So you understood the definitions also, right? Yeah, that's it about the observer pattern. Thank